Speaker of the National Assembly, members of staff of the Parliament Office, members of the media, and those viewing online. A pleasant morning to each and every one of you. Welcome to the launching of the Speaker's second National Youth Debating Competition. And to expand on this year's competition, I would like to invite the Honorable Manzoor Nadir, Speaker of the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Yannick. Members of the media, those online, our participants in this year's second National Youth Debating Competition, our staff, good morning. My apologies to those who have been online and to the media for the late start. Two issues arose this morning, but we are here. This morning it's an honor for me to launch the second annual Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition. Members would remember, media would remember that last year we introduced the first national competition, youth debating competition, and we had some 16 youth groups participating, with the Cummings Lodge Youth Movement emerging the winner. The competition was followed by many thousands of persons online and all over the world. Guyanese and non-Guyanese tuned in to watch our young people participate in this competition. The competition was launched as part of our program to bring Parliament closer to the people, to involve different groups in the activities of Parliament, and thirdly, we have as a Parliament, and I as Speaker also, have signed on to the International Parliamentary Union campaign, Say Yes to Youth, which is a national campaign running for many years to bring more young people into Parliament. So this second National Speakers Youth Debating Competition is now set to kick off on Friday, April the 8th, with the very same objectives: to involve our youth to start honing their skills at research, at teamwork, debating, while at the same time exposing them to Parliament, parliamentary procedure, and promoting the awareness of the National Assembly and the work of Parliament among our people. As I mentioned, this National Youth Debating Competition is part of a menu of activities which we have embarked upon to bring Parliament closer to the people. We have on the 10 Christmas outreaches, which began in 2020 and saw us reaching over 7,000 kids with not only Christmas gifts, but material so that they can understand what the Parliament is. We do have comic books, printed literature that goes out with the gifts to these communities. Last year, Carlotta, we were close to 10,000. 10,000 young people were reached, and we did in the Christmas activities, we target from 10 and under. The National Youth Debating Competition is for youth groups, and they would take up basically from the teenage groups, the secondary school children, up to an acceptable definition of youth. In addition to this, we have our youth parliament, which is going to be held once again this year. It's around the 12th of August, set for the Youth Parliament. An activity started some 7 years ago, which we have continued. And also we are going to be engaging in outreaches that involve sport, getting a lot of our national sporting personalities and organizations involved in bringing Parliament closer to that constituent. And last evening, we may be doing something new in 2022, promoting wellness, health issues also, as a means of promoting the work of Parliament. So here we are this morning for the second National Speakers Youth Debating Competition. And this year, we have 16 organizations, once again. Not participating this year is the University of Guyana Student Society. But replacing them is the Bartica Youth Group. Last year, Region 7, due to challenges of connectivity and COVID, we were unable to get them involved. And every region except Region 9 is represented this year. We have had some challenges with Region 9, but I want to say that all of these groups that we have identified this year is out of a collaboration we have with the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. And these are all groups affiliated with the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. So we draw our participants from the youth groups affiliated or registered with the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. And if I can quickly go through the groups that we have. Port Kaituma Youth Group. They have the distinction of knocking out the University of Guyana Youth Student Society in the first round last year. It brought some bitterness in the mouths of the UGSS leadership, or those who participated. I don't want to pin this on UGSS or the university itself, but there was some concern. They said it was rigged, and also they wouldn't participate again. Maybe just sore losers. The second group we have is the Queenstone Youth Group out of Region 2, Queenstone, Essequibo. We have the Anna Regina Youth Group. We have the West Bank, that's West Bank Demerara, Young Achievers, returning. Small Steps, Big Impact Youth Group out of West Demerara also. Young Professionals, the Grove Diamond Youth in Development, the Berbice Development Youth Group, Golden Home Dartmouth Youth Organization, number 58, that's Curtin, Swing Star Community Developer Group, Angoy's Avenue Youth Friendly Space, Bartica Youth Group, Magia Youth Group, Linden Superstar Youth Group, CAS Talent Management, that's in Georgetown, and the defending champions, the Cummings Lodge Youth Movement. It promises to be another exciting round of debating. Our judges this year, we have lost two of our judges from last year, Neil Marks and the former president of the Press Association. But replacing them, we have Ms. Indrani Chandrapal, the chairperson of the Women and Gender Equality Commission and a long former member of Parliament. Mr. Niaz Suban, well-known media personality. Mrs. Monette Garnett Christopher, who is the Chief Administrative Officer of Parliament. And what does she know about debating? outside of being in the highest forum of debate, she's also been a Toastmaster and a coach of debating competitions also. Dr. Dallin Fraser, Assistant Superintendent of Police, who himself is a master debater and Toastmaster. Ms. Anisha Mohammed, Head of Ghana Learning Channel. Ms. Miracle Miller, a geologist who was also a debating star from our youth parliament and also at the UN. Mrs. Valerie Gurusamy Smith, who is a lecturer at English at UG and one of the foremost trainers for debaters in our country. Ms. Melissa Dow Richardson, Assistant Director of Sport, Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, returning as a judge. And Mr. Rion Miller, a former youth parliamentarian, in fact, best debater in the senior category. So those are the 16 groups. We have exciting moots for them to debate, and you'll get a full package with the moots along with the schedule of debating competition. We're scheduled to pull off the finals at the end of May. There'll be a little break, and of course we have to leave enough space and time for when there are sittings of the National Assembly. So this year, again, it promises to be exciting. I know I've been hearing and interacting with some of the groups, and they're all revving up to go. In fact, since the last competition, persons felt they themselves could do much better, and they started doing their work. The competition is going to take hold, but more particularly, I think it's going to sow the seeds of even more involvement of young people. They're already involved because they're in national groups, they're working in their communities, they're helping each other, but I'm sure it will be a catalyst for them to be involved even more and at the highest level of debating and representation in our country. Myself, having come through the youth movement, understand that. So again, thanks for joining us this morning, and we're going to open to taking a few questions from the press. We also have today the pairing. Everything is done by a random program that Mr. Scipio has already queued up, and how the groups here match up against each other. That process is dictated by a computer program, and it's going to be generated live. The moots are also attached to at the same time, so it's not only putting your hand, it's all done electronically. Let me thank our IT people for coming up with this format last year. It worked well, and once again we will have the live draw. Should we do the live draw now, and then we can take the...
Yes.
So we're over to Mr.
Scipio.
Alonzo Scipio, who will start with demonstrating how the process works. Alonzo, maybe you can just share with our audience and the media what the process is.
All right, good morning everybody. On your screen, both in-house and online, it is league tournament software. It was used by the Parliament office last year to conduct our live draws, and more so Mr. Speaker's line of being an IT savvy person. So in that reference, he wanted us to have more so a fair schedule of what the teams are going to be tackling and which other team they will be tackling. All right, so we've inputted most of the data, because what we do as we progress as a tournament, we input additional data. So for instance, if team A and team B go through, we then add their names to the software, which then again gives us an automatic draw. So there's nothing on our end, Ms. Charles and Yannick and speakers and that we've had, or more so an involvement as to who we're drawing. Last year we've had beckoning calls about rigging and fixing matches to fix whoever. But I can assure you that the software used
But that's from one group, UGFS.
the software used by the Parliament Office is above board, authentic, and we will continue that fashion as this function continues. So as you can see here, we have the 16 listed. We have from, in alphabetical order, of course. This doesn't mean that you will draw it alphabetically. However, this is how the software puts it. The division have 16 teams competing this year, as of last year. The time slots and venues, well, we call it the topics. You will see they have the timings as we would have each draw or each competition. So we have for the different moods with the allotted time during the day. All right? As you can see here, no mood nor time was attached to any of the teams there. So you can see that the team was already attached to mood. All right? So we're going to go now, click generate schedule, which will now take a bit of time. From here, the computer is working its software, and it will now derive automatic schedule. I must say, on the left, you'll have your proposing team, and then on the right, you'll have your opposing team on the specific move. All right, so we're going to give it some time as it does automatic work, free from parliamentary interference, and then we will see what draw comes up next. I trust the folks on Zoom can see clearly. Great. So there is your draw. Automatic, free from manual interference. So on Friday, April 18th, we have the Linen Superstar Group. Sorry, April 8th, sorry, thank you, Charles. We have the Linen Superstar Group who is going to be going against the Golden Home Dharmic Organization. Their moot is going to be a collective voice for guidance youth in Jerusalem. Of course, the Superstar will propose, and the Golden Home Youth Organization, Dark Organization, is going to propose that moot. This schedule here, as you can see online and in-house, will be published on all our social media pages as is, so you can track the schedule, you can track who's next, you can track their time, you can track the mood that they're tackling on that day. We have it going on, you see Friday, April 8th, Tuesday again, April 12th, Tuesday, April 19th, Friday, April 29th. I urge teams online and online to take note of the day you have to go against your opponent and whatever mood you're tackling. And the time as well, because you know we have 2 sets of matches during the day. All right, so I won't go into for to keep the press of any questions, but this is our schedule. I trust all the teams are satisfied with their draw and prepared to tackle in the debate. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. CPO. I would just like to remind everyone that the sessions will be held on Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and on 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. It will be live streamed on the Parliament's website and our social media pages such as Facebook and YouTube. It will also be broadcasted on a television news on a television network to be announced, and also GlobeSpan. All right. We will now open the floor for any questions from the media. Please feel free to let us know which media house you're from, and you can tell us your question. You ask us your question. Go ahead.
Good morning, Kirk Campbell from Newsroom. Speaking of here, just a few questions for clarity. I wanted to know where would be the physical location for the debate? So would it be here or in the ACCC? In addition, could you also be a little clearer on the age requirement for entry into the competition? And thirdly, how concerned determine were the accusations of rigging last year personally for you? Those are my two questions.
First place. Persons will, groups can debate online, but we have also offered the Parliament chamber for persons who want to come physically to Parliament and make their presentation. We do conduct the chairing of the competition from the Parliament, and the judges for that are located physically in Parliament. Last year, we had to deal with doing most of it online. Our budget doesn't allow us to bring all of the groups from the outlying areas, but this is one of the things we have to look at next year. Either we bring groups to the city, and or we could take the debating competition outside of the city, because we can't be Georgetown centered alone. So place for this year, they can do it physically from a location they choose with good internet access, or if they choose, they can come to the Parliament and make their presentation live. Age. We normally go from secondary school, and youth in some instances are defined as persons up to 40. But the youth groups themselves have their constitution and what they consider to be youth. But we don't put a limit or on age. Once it satisfies the youth group, that parameters, constitution, as youth, and they are a member of the youth group, they can participate. We only had one instance of rigging, biasness, was the University of Guyana Student Society team last year. They were soundly beaten. In fact, they was in the competition, and they, I think, wrote the Vice Chancellor. The Vice Chancellor sent us a note. We don't fix the judges. So just as how we generate the pairing and the moots, we also generate the judges. And it would be, why would someone want to favor one group or the other? The only persons who can do that is the Parliament, or could be accused of doing that is the organizers of the competition. None of us knew the Port Kaituma youth group, and most of the other youth groups. They're basically constituents of the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. And what we had was a very close collaboration between the ministry and the National Assembly. So they generated from their list, the youth groups, their process of reaching out to them and finding out who was willing to participate. That is how, and then it appeared, a list was sent to us. The other thing about last year was we were just coming out of the strong lockdown for 2020, and now Parliament was just a few months old, and so timing was the big issue, and trying to get our list of activities going, the program for Parliament, not only holding committee meetings or holding sessions of Parliament and dealing with all the routine issues that the Parliament has to deal with, but we had to look at some of the other programs that we wanted. So we had a short window to, first of all, do the selection in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, and then also bring off the competition. I'm hopeful that the leadership of the University of Guyana Student Society would see it fit to participate in the next round. Going forward, we have to bring in more youth groups because Region 9 is not there as yet, and that's the only region that is absent. And we're getting requests now to expand and bring in more youth organizations. So I know the team at Parliament working on this competition for next year have already started discussing the idea of more groups, but we're doing some knockouts in the region. And that way you can identify who will move forward into the quarterfinals and then semifinals. So we move it out to the region. We go out to the region and we host the debates among groups in the region, and then we have emerging a set of groups. Thanks, Fred.
Any other questions? If not, I would just like to remind each and every one of you out there as well that the sessions will be held on Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. All right, it will be live streamed on the Parliament's webpage, on our social media pages, and also it will be broadcasted on a television network to be announced. Thank you for joining us for the launch of the Speaker's second National Youth Debating Competition. This competition, of course, we are looking forward to robust debates from our youth debaters, and of course, it's going to be a fun-filled and a very educational debating competition. So, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Of course, I would just like to also say that the competition will be moderated by yours truly, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Mansour Nadir. Thank you very much for being here, and see you soon.
Thank you.